The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in the cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to RAP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts,
Kim Purvis
and Allison Robinson. Make sure to check us out on our Facebook pages, RAP Paranormal and Friends and RAP Paranormal Busters, for up-to-date show information and events.
Reach into the
Hey
camera
everyone,
bag.
welcome to RAP Paranormal and Friends. We have some special guests for you tonight. We have Tia and Cory Lollman of Lollman Paranormal and now Lollman Chronicles. So welcome.
Hi, how are you guys?
We are doing swell. We're doing swell. Okay, so let's kind of just jump into it. So you guys kind of created your team, what, in like 2020, somewhere around there?
Yep, early 2020.
Okay.
COVID shut everything down, and we just kind of started to explore places where we weren't going to get sick, I guess.
Yeah. And so neither one of you had a paranormal experience prior to investigating. Is that correct?
Yeah, not that we can sit here and say definitively.
Uh-huh.
You know, maybe we did and we just didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing up until we started.
Okay. Now, there's you two plus your dad, right? Is that correct, Cory?
Yep.
That makes up your team.
Yep.
What made you decide to form a team?
So the paranormal was always something that kind of grabbed our attention and intrigued us, especially me and my dad from back when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something that I kind of wondered, is it real? Is it not? What is out there after we die? Kind of the generic stuff. So we watched all the shows, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, all the way up to today with Project Fear and Holzer Files, newer ones and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when COVID shut everything down, we were like, well, let's go out and try to search out these experiences and search out this thing and see what we can find and figure out if it's real and prove to ourselves that this thing we believe in is real.
Right. Now, do you each have like a specific role or anything on your team? Do you have like a tech person or anything like that, or you just kind of all do it all?
Yeah, besides, Cory producing like all the show, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have like a lead investigator, or I don't have to host the show. I don't have to be the one on camera all the time.
Right.
I think all three of us are fairly camera shy to begin with.
Yeah.
I pretty much handle all the tech stuff, the equipment stuff, the production stuff. That's pretty much mostly me, but their input's always valuable to it. And, but that investigation-wise, we just kind of all play the same role.
Gotcha. Now, what was your first piece of equipment that you used?
I think we just started out with like recorders and cameras.
Yeah. And maybe like an EMF detector.
Yeah.
We didn't have all the high-tech stuff at first. We didn't know what it was going to be. Well, the first time we went out, we didn't even realize that we'd keep going out. It just kind of turned into that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What was your first investigation? Where did you investigate first?
For our school.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Been there several times. Yep.
We don't live far from there. Maybe
Well,
from our house now, it's probably about an hour, but from Des Moines, it's not but a half hour outside of town.
Right. Yeah.
So we've been there a couple times now, but we went with a group of like 10 people, 10 friends that we just said, hey, we're going to go do this. You want to come along? And I think us three were the only ones that really made it past midnight. Everyone else was just kind of asleep.
That's me and Allison. Everybody else goes to sleep. We're still investigating.
Yeah.
Like, she was real nervous about it, you know, because then, of course, you go and you watch YouTube videos on it, and you try to watch any TV show that's been there. And, but she was kind of nervous, but I'd say a couple hours into it, I was like, well, where's Tia at? And she's just upstairs by herself, wandering around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any good experiences there, or anything kind of memorable, or?
Not really.
Not in person. On the camera audio we caught what kind of sounds like a child's voice of some kind, like being, I don't even know what to describe it, a scream or almost yelling something, but you can't really make it out. Just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
in person, we didn't really have anything.
Okay.
We did capture footsteps on audio too. Well, me and my dad did.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice.
But we also didn't really, you know, your first time, you don't know what you do.
Right. Yeah. You don't really know what you're looking for or anything.
Yeah. So we just kind of went into it and kind of just hung out there pretty much for the most part. We didn't really ask questions all night or try to use this device. We just went and were hanging out with people and tried to go into creepy dark rooms. And
What would you say that your technique is, or what is your approach to investigating?
Honestly, we try not to ask the same generic questions that you hear a lot of the time. You know, of course, it's going to happen.
Right.
So most of the time, we really try to understand the history of the location, what happened there, what the common belief on what spirits may be there is, and really try to correlate and relate with that. Whether it's, you know, asking something personal towards them, you know, about their family, what they used to do in life. It just kind of varies on location. You know, you'll get the generic questions, but then we don't
do like a lot of provoking or anything like that. Yeah, we're pretty easy with it, and like I know like the show is like we want it to be more of the realistic part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what you just said, the realism part. You know, you don't see many teams go in and just start screaming, "Demon, come get me!"
Right.
So we really try to take a respectable approach to it. You know, I feel like we're going into these spirits' homes where they pretty much live out their afterlife, and we don't want to walk into their home being disrespectful. We don't feel like that'll get them to communicate with us at all. So we really try to show respect, let them know that we're not here to harm you in any way or be demeaning towards you. We're simply here to try to document that you are still here.
Right.
And really just try to see if they won't come out and play nice.
Now, I know that TV was kind of a big part as to how you guys got involved in this. How do you think that TV shows differ from actual investigations?
It's a lot more dramatic on TV.
Yeah, so I feel like definitely reactions are over exaggerated. Okay.
We feel the same way, so I know what she's saying. We feel like things can be over exaggerated a little bit, but that makes for good TV. You know, a lot of people are watching Discovery Plus, Travel Channel, whatever network it may be on. You know, they're not going to sit there and want to watch typically an hour straight of footage of someone talking to a wall.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Right.
So, we understand the concept behind it. And talking to Dave Schrader last year really helped us kind of see that part of it. Because he had the perfect explanation for it. Like, you're recording and you hear this noise or footsteps come at you. If you just turn and you're like, oh, hey, I just heard some footsteps. There's not much excitement to it. Whereas if you get excited about it and over-exaggerate that moment, it's really going to draw viewers in.
Yep.
Our show's a little different. It's more towards that realism part. So there's times, for instance, in the first episode, I won't divulge too much, but you see me jump back and yell, what the F?
Yeah.
Because it's the living crap out of me. So when you do get those reactions from us, you know that they're real, they're genuine. It's not just us playing a role or trying to save a moment. I'm 6'5", 250 pounds. If I'm jumping back,
then something's.
Definitely.
Let's see here. In 2023, you released a documentary, The House of 1859, on the Horridge House. Can you give us some background on the Horridge House?
Yeah, so the Horridge House was built in 1859, hence the title, House of 1859. You can see the cover here on the wall.
Yep.
I got a big old movie poster of it. That's George Horridge, who lived in the home. His family lived in the home for probably close to 80 years. He did die in the home, just kind of old age. There wasn't really any tragic death in the home. It was just your typical growing old, passing away kind of stuff. The story on when they bought the home is kind of weird, and I kind of have my own little thoughts on it, whether or not we'll ever be able to prove things. I don't know. So George and Augustus Rock, Augustus Herman Rock, they were business partners. And so they moved into the house together with Augustus's wife, Elizabeth. Well, Augustus died at before he was even 40, and they have no clue how he died, or if ever found any records of him dying.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't after that George and Elizabeth ended up getting married. So I kind of play around with this thought, back in those days, you didn't have the different testing and stuff that we do today. So you could poison someone and easily get away with it.
Right? Yeah.
So that's true. It's just something that floats in your head when you hear stories like that.
Right, yeah.
Shortly after Elizabeth passed, her funeral was held in the home. Shortly after she passed, George married Carrie, who is 30 years younger than him. And they stayed married until George died in the home. I can't remember what year he died off the top of my head, but he did die in the home. And now today it's home to their historical society. So it houses everything that has been donated to them or that they've acquired. Going from military artifacts to furniture to old portraits to George's Bible from the 1800s. I mean, it's all there.
Right.
So there's a ton of different theories on who may be there, what may be there. I know Katie and Josh, who run the paranormal tours out there, we've had a very in detailed discussion about the possibility of an elemental spirit being there, along with maybe the wives or George or Augustus. We've never really, I don't think, had contact with them.
Not ourselves, no.
But the evidence that we've been able to capture there is remarkable. I've had some personal experiences with things touching me or pulling on my shirt or scratches on my back. But some of the more compelling stuff is, the EVPs that we've captured on our camcorders there.
Oh, wow.
It's stuff that, in all honesty, if you were there and you knew it was not us talking, you have zero explanation for what these voices are or where they came from.
Wow.
And I mean, they're crystal clear, answering questions. Probably the more
intelligent.
The best one, the most intelligent one is I actually had the SLS camera out in the master room.
Mm-hmm.
I asked, "Is this where you want us to be tonight?" Because that's just kind of where we felt everything was going to happen. It felt so quiet and just calm everywhere else. But then when you went upstairs that night, it just was a different kind of energy and feel up there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just us two in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the camera audio, you hear a voice answer me and say, "Wouldn't it be?" And it's not talking.
Uh-huh.
It's my voice.
Yeah. It came, and it's kind of like a male voice. Like,
Yeah, but it's like you can tell that it's right there in the room with us, and I can't tell you
guys
what
start
it was.
moving that.
Yeah, it's a little wobbly.
It's okay. It's okay. We're the only ones that can see you anyway.
Yeah,
so
they
it's all
can't
good.
see us. So.
Yeah, you're good.
So just the evidence that we've been able to capture there is just it's always going to draw us back. We're always going to have questions about what goes on there. We've been out there over a dozen times.
Oh, nice.
So doing the documentary for me wasn't planned. Like I never had this image to just do it one day. It was kind of more of a thank you to Josh and Katie for kind of helping us guide us along when we first
oh, he
started out.
did too want to do it.
I was going to ask you, that was one of the questions, like, how did you get interested in doing a documentary on the Horridge house? So you just kind of...
It's like, when we first started, it wasn't like, hey, I want to I want to do a documentary or this or that. But once we started going there, it was really... The primary reason was a way to say thank you to Josh and Katie and try to bring as much awareness to the house as possible. Because when we first started going there a few years ago, it hadn't even been open to the public yet.
Yeah.
And Josh and Katie were kind enough to bring us in there and let us experience it before it did. So we really wanted to just bring as much attention to it as we could. And people, not just from the state, but all over the country.
Very nice, yeah.
We like Katie and Josh.
Oh, yeah, we do.
They're good people.
They
And
are
now
good people.
I'm really good friends. You know, we talk a lot with them and volunteer a lot out there to help them with different events and stuff. And it's been real great.
That's good. Now, not only did you've released this documentary, but you guys are coming out with the Lollman Chronicles. So can you kind of give us a little bit of a description on what we can expect from that?
So, the Lollman Chronicles kind of came about because we were looking for somewhere to put the documentary. And Katie and Josh actually sent Jim the trailer. He saw it, liked it, reached out about it, and from there, it kind of just came to like, hey, do you guys want to do a show? And we talked about it and agreed that we'd go ahead and try it. And it'll be like 6 episodes. If they do well, then maybe we'll do more, like trial.
Right.
And it'll be the 3 of us going out to different locations. And the more, like I said earlier, like the more realistic side of things is kind of what we're hoping to show.
Right.
You know, the downtime, but the fun stuff too. We've had a couple moments, and just different things like that. It'll be our first time doing anything out of state that we're showing and stuff like that. We didn't do anything out of state until the show, so that was kind of different.
That's cool.
And we have another one coming up in a couple weeks. So
okay, very nice. When do you think the first one will air? Do you guys have an idea?
It's actually almost done. So there's some small little tweaks and stuff to do. Maybe a little bit of an ending to kind of sum everything up. But I wouldn't think it would take. It'll all be on the network because they'll take time. Right now, they're working on cutting reels of the footage to. So they'll probably do that for a couple weeks before it airs. But I would say easily within the next couple of months, if not the next month.
Cool.
Very cool.
And we're kind of doing so frequently. We're filming just about one a month. And my plan is to try to let them release within a couple months of each other. So if this one releases within the next 2 months, try to have the next one out and then the next one. If not sooner than that, it just depends on how quickly.
So they won't come out as quickly as like a normal TV show.
Right.
Right.
as to produce them.
Right. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So it's not quick, but I mean, they'll release a date at some point whenever they decide when that's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have full-time jobs, so we
Right,
can't
yeah.
always do the editing and stuff.
I hear you there.
Yep. Yep.
But I put a lot of time in it. There's Saturdays I wake up and I'll be down here for 10 hours and I'll just
Wow.
plug away and
What are you?
she does not get that from me.
What do you hope others will take away from your show, from your shows?
Respect. We always try to show the utmost respect to everyone that we encounter, whether it's other teams, people that are interested in it, owners of locations, the properties themselves. We've never, and I'm sure we will at some point, especially with this journey.
Yeah.
We've always gotten along with everyone that we've met. But being known as kind-hearted and respectful people that aren't here to mock the paranormal or just make it into this thing where we're just trying to get 4 million viewers on a video, that we'd much rather be known as respectable people than any amount of views could provide for us. And I think that that's so important because people that are new to the field like we were and still kind of are, I don't think they understand what it's really like because they probably watched the shows like we did and probably go into their first one like we did and not really know what to truly expect from it.
I think, what are we talking about? I think I figured it out, but
Talking
Just
about
start laughing.
what?
so
Yeah.
I think when we first started, we went into it and those shows, I feel like you get this vibe of things just kind of happen all the time, right? You don't have to do much of anything, and it just kind of happens. And that is so not the case. You will have hours of downtime where nothing happens. You're talking to an empty room, just talking to walls. And it's just, I think that's very, it just kind of gives you a reality check when I jump into it. One of the things that, for example, the documentary we put out was an hour and a half long. Not all of it was investigation stuff, of course. And that was 3 days worth of investigating.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's you just don't quite realize until you start doing it how it actually is.
The show, the biggest difference with the show and the documentary is, the reason we did 3 days is because we wanted to document as much as we could for it.
Right.
Really try to hype up the location. Of course, in the film, we make it into segments: night one or day one, day two, day three, so that you understand that it's 3 days. Where the show is one night, one shot, raw. Literally, the only kind of changing of anything that I do is I might zoom in on something a little bit, or I'll amplify the audio so that you can hear things that I'm hearing through my earbuds, that you can just hear coming out of speakers.
Yeah, we don't edit. We don't do any besides amplifying so you can hear it. We don't mess with evidence. It just is. We're gonna give it to you, and hopefully
pictures or even the video. We don't change the color. We don't try to brighten it up. We don't try to dim it down. It's just there, and if we capture it.
Right.
Sometimes you see us talking to the air for a little bit. Sometimes you see me wet myself.
thank goodness.
So it being as real as can be and known to be respectable to where we're going and what we're doing is probably the biggest thing I'd like people to take out of it.
Right. Now, do you have any advice for up and coming investigators?
I think one of the things that I always kind of say is if you can go with somebody that's experienced, for your first time or two, go for it. And I know Kat and Josh do it. I know other teams do it.
Katie and Josh.
Oh yeah, Katie and Josh.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kat does it too, though. guided investigations where, you're a part of something, or a group investigation. We've done small ones at the Horridge House for like 10 people, and where you can like use our equipment, get comfortable with it, kind of see how we do it, but also you are able to interact. I think that would have been very beneficial had we had gone with somebody. Hold on, girl. I don't know. Go find it. I think it would have been very beneficial had we have kind of started doing that, rather than just like jump out. Because we went with everybody that we went with were brand new and never gone.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was very much so. Let's just jump into the deep end.
Yeah, we did that too.
We did that too.
That would definitely be my biggest piece.
I mean, you can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you can't, I mean, if you can find guided ones that are reasonable and stuff, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
I would agree with that. Finding some of the events that are around, where you can go, whether it's a Paracon or just going, they're hosting a group investigation for a few hours. Just something to where you can go and get accustomed to being in the dark and not seeing anything. And just being able to interact with people that have the same interest.
Right.
Because if you just go and you say, like we did, and from what it sounds like, you just grab some friends and go, you're not going to know what you're doing or what to truly expect.
Right.
Like
so
on our
learning
first, first investigation, we did Velisca.
You guys jumped straight into the deep end.
We did. Balls to the wall.
No, we did not.
I feel like Edinburgh too was a fairly decent one to start at. Like you didn't kind of jump in. Again, that's okay. You did, but I mean, we definitely kind of we're like, especially me. I didn't want to jump in. I was like, I'm not going to just go to a prison right away. I'm not do that. And Farrar. Farrar is like you're gonna get experiences. But, like, I don't feel like it's going to be one that's going to freak somebody out to the point they're never going to want to do it again.
Right. Oh, yeah. I agree with that. That was our second.
Yeah, that was our second investigation.
Yeah.
Go deep in to low.
Yep, you did.
Yeah.
But we honestly had a lot happen at Velisca, so, I mean... We went there. I mean, so when we went, Dan had just had knee replacement surgery. So he was up the stairs. So we want to go back and we met. But yeah, it was really quiet for us.
Wow.
Very surprising.
Yeah.
I think I pissed something off. So you know how the mirrors are always covered up?
Oh, yeah.
And she hates this, by the way. I want to do whatever I can to have whatever happen, and as much of it as possible. Whether it's challenging myself, doing things that make me uncomfortable, within reason. I'm not going to sit here and ask something to take me over and do that. So I was like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but let's see if we can't maybe irritate the killer if he's here. And I uncovered every mirror in the house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And not a flip happened. So I'm like, I think I made him mad.
I think we tried there too, in the attic.
Oh, so when we were there, Kat's team, Paranormal Exposure, they were at Malvern.
Oh,
and that's at the mirrors? The screen experiment.
Yep.
So we did it at Velisca while they were doing it at Malvern.
Cool.
So we did try that. I don't think we
didn't
experience much.
But also, I was doing it, and I'm more of a skeptic of the group. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say who's the skeptic? There's always one. Yeah.
If you can get something.
Your dad is though too.
Yeah. But if you can get something past her to where she says, "Okay, I can't explain that," you got something because she will kill everything.
Yeah.
Like to the point where we thought during the documentary someone was sprinting through the house.
Oh yeah.
on our security camera audio, and of course, Miss Nosy over here decides to see the car drive on the railroad tracks.
I was like, no, there was a car that went over at that same time.
And my dad and I were like, that does not sound like a car going over railroad tracks.
Yeah.
So, of course, my dad gets in the truck and goes and drives over the railroad tracks, and sure enough, it sounds like someone's sprinting through the house.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And like, Dad was like really excited about it, and I.
Yeah, that was,
But you gotta do that.
Exactly.
You gotta check out everything.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that you might have something that you can explain. Do either one of you have like a bucket list location that you really want to do?
I do.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't so much because she's a little wishy-washy on going to these bigger, darker
yeah.
kind of places. But my number one place, and I doubt I'm ever able to go there, is Pavia Island in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
That would be number one for me.
Mm-hmm.
But as for possible places, Trans-Allegheny
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
is out there, way over the hills for me. But Trans-Allegheny, I think, country is number one. And not to spoil too much, but it may happen later in the year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Those are
It's working on
expensive
it.
places too. I don't know if you guys have looked into those, but woo,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
they're expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Yeah. It's ridiculous.
We went to a Missouri State Penitentiary,
Mm-hmm.
and we took 25 people just to cover the cost to go.
Yeah.
And
You do. You have to try and add people in to help split that cost up.
because it's $1,500 for the first 15, and it averages out $100 a person. So we took 25 people, and it's big enough where we didn't contaminate each other.
Yeah.
See, we Trans-Allegheny, I won't divulge too much, just because it's not any news
Mr.
that we've
Topic.
released yet.
You can't keep a secret.
But we would have multiple shows there pretty much at once if we're able to make that happen.
Right.
And it would be a big thing for not just us as a show, but the network as a whole.
Right, yeah.
It would be a pretty big event. So it's something we're working on. And I know we did have a date narrowed down. We're looking at trying to change it. But we haven't heard back from the network yet.
Yeah.
So it's still in the works, hopefully, to go out to Trans-Allegheny. But nothing definitive yet, but hopeful.
I
Where's
noticed on your page that you guys might be going to Indiana State.
We are. We are. Yep.
That's
going to be our second episode.
Third
episode. Third
Yep.
episode.
Okay.
We've been there.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool place. Very
with 3.
very active.
How many? There was 3. There was 6 of us.
1, 2.
Yeah. There was 6 of us.
That's not a bad number, especially for that place.
Oh yeah. No. We. Yeah.
3 buildings.
Yeah. It was insane. The tunnels are pretty gnarly.
Really?
Yeah.
So my dad and I, like I said, I am trying to challenge myself in the most uncomfortable ways. So I really feel like that can draw things to happen. Her, on the other hand, I don't think I'm going to talk her into even sitting at one end of the hallway by herself there. So I plan to do some stuff to really challenge that fear level and hopefully it will increase some activity and make for a good episode.
Oh yeah, for sure. I bet it would. And what was that?
He's like, oh, you can do a solo, right? No. Why would I want to be in one of them buildings all by myself?
You don't have to be in the building. You could go to the tunnels.
Yeah.
They're so fun.
Yeah, because the tunnel would be even better than sitting in a building by yourself.
No, thanks.
You would really have to squat.
That's the biggest.
Huh?
I said he would really have to squat in those tunnels because there's big pipes. So watch your head.
To the doorway.
When you go, maybe you can answer it for me when you go and check it out. Why would they have an X-ray machine right next to a bathtub and water?
Oh.
Electric shock therapy.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of, but it was down in the morgue.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, but that's be the biggest one that we've been to by far. And we actually just got a new camera to kind of play with too. So we're excited to get out there and be out there. And I'm excited to see what we can put together for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I think you guys will have a good time out there. Now, do you have any upcoming events that you're doing between all your shows and everything?
Not until
August.
Yeah. August.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is that?
Benton County Expo.
That's the Benton County.
Look here.
We were trying to fit more in, so we get lost on which ones we're doing when, or we're trying to do between traveling for filming. And
so Benton County will be our one in August, and that will be in Vinton, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we will be doing the Paracon there. This is their first Paracon. They've done the walk in the past previously, but they decided to go ahead and change it to convention style.
Mm-hmm.
So we are helping them kind of put that on. And then that night there'll be an investigation. So that'll be the next thing we do. And then we'll
be at the Rock Island Paracon again this year. We were out there for it last year. And we had an absolute blast out there. That was the first one that we actually ever did outside of the walk and pass events.
Right.
Which is more of like a smaller, it was a big event. I think last year we had 90 people just for the investigation.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
But the Rock Island Paracon was really the first expo style event that we did, and we had an absolute blast out there. And of course, the money that you pay for a vendor table, it's all donated to the location, which we are 100% for always if we're able to do it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a blast as well. There is another one in February of next year that we're planning on being at. We've been accepted as a vendor. It's I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called like the Missouri Paracon. It's down in Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Down there. And there's going to be a lot of ghost hunters are there. Kindred Spirits are there. Dave Schrader's there. Jeff Bellinger is there. So there's a lot of really big names there. And for us, when we do these, we don't care too much about selling stuff so much. Like, we'd like to get some shirts made for the show, or maybe some stickers, pens, stuff to kind of give away to people. It's like, of course, we have DVDs that we sign and stuff.
And he's always like, let's do like conventions. I'm like, what are we going to put on our table?
Right.
Because, it's not one of them. I've seen teams where they come in and they have just all this apparel and cups and just all this stuff. And I'm like, we don't do that. We don't do this for that. Again, it's okay if you do. I'm not here to offend anybody.
Right.
But we just don't. So
it's
we don't have a lot to put out.
Yeah, it's more a marketing opportunity for us, I think. We get to go network with other teams, other people, locations at these places. Right. So that's one of the biggest things that we enjoy about doing them is the networking opportunities and marketing that you're able to do.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see it, Benton County. We're one of the vendors.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah. But we work very closely with Josh and Katie this year on trying to get vendors in there and different things.
More so him.
But then I forget to tell you about things.
Yeah. So he tends to help more on the planning side of things. I don't know how it's kind of morphed into that, and then I tend to do a lot of the helping the day of. I'm a very good organizer and type that. So
and I'm just a chatterbox.
So it's kind of fun. Like the previous years, we've just kind of volunteered and we headed investigation groups at night and stuff. And this year we're not technically considered a volunteer. We're considered somebody that's organizing it, co-host. So we'll get to like meet more people during the investigation because we'll be rotating around the groups instead of just our group. So that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cat's team will actually in charge of all the groups. So I can't remember how many groups are going to be this year, but
that's cool.
You get not only the Horge House, but you also get the old Lincoln School that's there that we actually had a pretty cool experience at last year. Unfortunately, it was after just about everybody but one person left.
Oh, geez.
At the end of it, we tried to do like a little free roam for an hour at the school for people to just kind of want to roam around and check things out.
By then, everybody wanted to leave.
Yeah, everyone left. We were standing in the hallway of the school just talking with the guy about stuff, and it sounded like someone with big old work boots on was about to walk around the corner, and then they just stopped, and nothing was there.
Oh, wow. That's
like, I literally thought someone else was in the building coming down the stairs or something, and I sat there waiting, and I'm like,
well,
no one's there. So that's actually got me very intrigued with the Lincoln School, because prior to that, I don't think...
Yeah, we didn't have really...
Outside of maybe some equipment stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're in a group, you don't hear things as well as when it's just quiet. So I've kind of gotten intrigued about that place. So I'm excited that we get to go back there again this year.
That's cool. Now,
I can't wait to see Jeff and...
Yes.
Because he was on our show.
Oh, yeah. Yep, yeah. When we were first starting out.
When we first started out, we met him up in Minnesota, him and Dave.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
And you always wonder, when you meet some of the celebrities in the field, that have been on the shows, how are they really? You see them on the shows, like Dave is this big dude that feels like he would punch any spirit in the mouth,
Yeah.
And you meet him, and he's just this genuinely caring, funny dude. And same thing with Jeff. Jeff is a hoot.
Yeah.
That man's knowledge of history is remarkable.
Oh, I know. Yeah. He's like a walking encyclopedia. Like, he knows everything.
We met Adam Berry up there, too. And then he came to Farrar and did a thing there. He actually remembered me from Minnesota 2 years prior.
Oh, wow. Amazing memory.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he remembered me.
It's like, yes, my life goals have been complete now.
Yeah.
Especially with the friends I was with because they didn't believe me. See?
Told you I met him.
Now, where can people find you? Like websites, social media?
We have Facebook. Facebook's going to be the best way to get a hold of us. Just Lollman Paranormal. We have kept it that. Just because we do other things, so we didn't change it to the Lollman Chronicles. We do have TikTok. We were better about it, kind of got bad about it. Him, actually, because that was on him for a while. And then start getting better. And now I'll probably start helping with that kind of stuff. So we do have a TikTok. That one's Lollman_paranormal. But I would Facebook if you're trying to reach out or just kind of follow us and stuff like that. It's probably easier.
Well, I've been thinking about kind of revamping the TikTok page since it's got such a huge base of people on it.
Oh, right.
Kind of switching that more to focus more on promoting the show than everything else.
He thought there's an Instagram out there, but he doesn't know.
I'm pretty sure there is, but I need to promote her to social media manager or something.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, we used to do TikTok lives more than we do now because of the show. We won't do probably a lot of lives unless it's for a location outside of the show.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things that kind of got pushed aside or put on the back burner just because we're not doing that. So we kind of forget about TikTok, but. We're going to try and get better with it.
No.
I need to set up. Because we understand the platform that social media gives people to help promote whatever they're doing.
Right.
Excuse me. And so the more that you post, the more interactions you have, the more that you respond to people on there. All that helps push those pages out.
Right.
So we're really trying to create content and push stuff out. And once the show gets rolling, that stuff will really start coming in, because we'll have reels, we'll have trailers, like the Malvern one. We'll have stuff that we can post every day, a few times a day, probably. Some of it might be repetitive, but some of the stuff you really want to bring eyes on, that's kind of how you do it. So they'll start being more on them just kind of as things pick up. If you send us messages on there, we always respond to them. It's not like we have some auto bot that says, "Hey, I'll get back to you." No, we have people send us messages. They're asking us questions about stuff. I think I've only had one hater ever send me a message on there, and that was, "How dare you profit off doing events at these locations?" I'm like, "Yeah, but we don't.
Yeah.
We just volunteer to go to them."
That's just though.
So, regardless of who it is, we typically respond to you, and in case you can't tell, we're goofy and quirky, and my dad's just as bad as I am. People don't assume that because he's 60. And so, like, when we go to Malvern or we hang out with Josh Hurd and his wife, or Josh, it's almost like people try to clean up their act and not say certain ways. I'm like, let it all out, because he's going to brag on you if you don't.
Oh, right. Nice.
Yeah, Cory has, like, I'm not as funny. He has a great sense of humor. Guess where he gets it, So,
right.
No.
She's more literal, and my dad and I just have this sometimes offensive sense of humor, but still funny.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody who was listening tonight. We appreciate each and every one of you. I know it's different because we're on a special night. We'll be back to Thursdays next week, so tune in then. And like to thank our special guests, Cory and Tia from Lollman Paranormal. Make sure you guys are paying attention and get on their social media on Facebook to find out when their episodes and things are going to come out for their new shows that are going to be up and coming. Sounds awesome. And you can get a hold of them on there as well if you have any other questions. And once again, thanks guys for taking time out and joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Anytime. Peace out, everybody.